The annual Catholic Appeal. 60 years of changing lives in Western Massachusetts. Sharing, teaching, reaching. Respecting the dignity of life at all ages. Our Catholic mission calls us to be Christ in our world right now. Please donate to the annual Catholic Appeal today and help us put faith in action.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel. A Chicopee native is one of 2 Franciscan friars to be ordained to the priesthood.
I'm Kathy Harrington in Westfield at a celebration for Divine Mercy Sunday. I'll have that story.
And Father Brian McGrath is in the kitchen with a recipe any mother would love. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel and happy Mother's Day weekend. It's been nearly a decade since the Franciscan friars who staff St. Stanislaus Basilica in Chicopee have celebrated an ordination to the priesthood in their Chicopee Parish Church. Well, on Saturday, April 27th, 2 men were ordained by Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky. Nick Morganelli has the journey now of one of those friars who grew up in the parish and attended local Catholic schools.
Bishop Mitchell Rosansky was joined by several deacons and nearly 40 priests as friars Benedict and Christopher took their vows with hundreds in attendance.
He will be ordained along with one of our friars who's originally from Nigeria but studying and working in England and Ireland, our custody there as we call it, so Friar Benedict will be ordained as well. So this is a happy day for us.
Father Benedict Abugu was joined by his mother and other family members who now live locally. And Father Christopher Dudek has a history of faith with ties to the Basilica. The Minister Provincial's relationship with Christopher's family goes back nearly 40 years. He explains how the former pastor's chalice decades ago became a special part of the Mass for Father Dudek.
I held on to Father Josaphat's chalice, thinking that Christopher Dudek would someday be ordained a priest. And today, his mother carried Father Josaphat's chalice up the aisle and presented it to Bishop Rosansky, who presented it to Father Christopher Dudek.
Linda's mom, Christopher's 92-year-old grandmother, Emily Saluzniak, was overcome with tears of joy as her wish was to witness this day.
Of course, vocation seeds are planted by mom and dad and grandparents, and then it just grew here at the Basilica as he grew in age, and I'd say in wisdom and in grace, because he was open to the Holy Spirit.
I feel excited that it's finally, that's a long time, since 2008, that he's been waiting for this special day. And we have too.
When people ask me, are you ready? I said, after 10 years, if I'm not ready, I'll never be ready. So it's been 10 years I've been preparing. So I just feel like God has blessed me in many different ways, and I really feel like I'm prepared.
Father Christopher's pastor from his youth recalls the first steps on his journey.
His great devotion, his great attention to the Mass, and so he became one of the greatest altar servers here at the Basilica. So I kind of encouraged him also to consider to becoming a friar priest, to be of service to the church, the greater church.
Christopher's parents recall his journey to the priesthood, and it all began right here in his childhood home in Chicopee.
So at 1.5, he wanted to sit in the first row in the main church. Yeah. And I told him, if he's going to be quiet, well, that's fine.
Third grade, he'd become an altar server, and he did that. He'd rather do the whole thing by himself, but
right from a young age. If somebody didn't show to be an altar server, there was Chris in the second row. We were, and he went up and he helped.
He helped.
The home, the family was always something very important. From coming together on Sundays, being together for meals, to going to church. I learned this foundation of love and really this family. And I think that the priesthood is all about relationships with others and seeing Christ in others and helping others to see Christ in their own life. And having this experience of my family and was the first place that I saw Christ.
From there, Friar Dudek continued to see Christ in people as he lived as Christ's hands, feet, and voice in the communities he served.
I, as Minister Provincial, sent Friar Christopher to Rome to do his theological studies. He was an outstanding student there and was exemplary, not just in his studies, but in his outreach to the poor.
They would do street evangelists. They would all go out into the street with their music and everything, play songs and sing, and all the people would gather around, and they would all, sing and everything.
Christopher Dudek is a new St. Francis in my mind.
I lived with friars, I think, from about 20, 30 different countries, and seeing how the churches in all of those different countries, and even though when I got there I couldn't even speak Italian very well, but being able to share and to have that relationship with my brothers based on the faith, based on our common call, was really something that I really liked. So seeing that church universal was something that really helped me.
Father Dudek also spent time in Guatemala and Honduras. This broadened his sense of service as he witnessed how hard priests work to bring the Mass to the poor in rural areas.
And it just rained. It was raining, and there was mud, and coming down the hill, the truck started to go like off the mountain, and I was watching as we're falling down a little bit. Luckily, they are much better drivers there than I would ever be here, and they were able to go back on the track. The priests in Honduras have to travel far, and the people are waiting there because the priest only comes for once a week, once a month, meeting the people where they are, even in their poverty and where they are, and then sharing a meal with them as we did after. I think that really helped me to have a different view of the priesthood.
He's already a great preacher. He preaches from his heart, and he really touches the people. And the fact that he's so young and full of energy, I need that. We need that. This is exciting, and not to mention for his parents and family, and for us as friars. I don't just believe, I know he's going to be passionate, outspoken in the positive sense. He's great with the kids. He's tough, but the kids love him. So I'm psyched for this new friar priest.
Father Dudek's teaching and ministering to the youth at Archbishop Curley School in Baltimore is another experience that prepared him for the priesthood.
That ministry with the young people have really formed me into how to minister to people, how to see Christ in the church, how to be a good minister. So I don't think that the preparation is only on the altar, giving a homily or at that, but even in the holistic approach.
It was a great celebration for the St. Stanislaus community, who is grateful for both Father Dudek and Father Abugu and for their ministries to come.
I think that this is just the beginning of a life and of many more adventures and many more ways that God will call me. So I don't see this as a graduation, an end, but really the beginning of a new life of ministry.
For Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
And Father Christopher is likely the last from the former Holyoke Catholic High School to be ordained a priest. We certainly look forward to hearing of Father Benedict and Father Christopher's continued journeys. Just a reminder, our diocese will ordain 3 new priests on June 1st at 11 a.m. at St. Michael's Cathedral. And next week on May 18th, the latest class of permanent deacons will be ordained also at 11 a.m. at St. Michael's Cathedral. All are invited to attend. And still to come on Real to Real, Mark Giza reviews the stage and screen. And we head back to Father Brian McGrath's kitchen for a recipe Mom would approve of. These stories and more are all still to come on Real to Real.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Gale and your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy day and join us Sunday morning. We welcome Father John Powers as our Mass presider and celebrate the 4th Sunday of Easter and Mother's Day. The Chalice of Salvation, Sunday morning at the early hour of 6 a.m. on WWLP TV 22, and coming up next on Albany's Fox 23, WXXA.
Come to Providence Place. Owned by the Sisters of Providence for retirees looking for an ideal rental setting to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We offer bright 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, wellness and entertainment programs, all with a friendly community spirit on beautiful grounds. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
The Annual Catholic Appeal. 60 years of changing lives in Western Massachusetts. Sharing, teaching, reaching. Respecting the dignity of life at all ages. Our Catholic mission calls us to be Christ in our world right now. Please donate to the Annual Catholic Appeal today and help us put faith in action.
Travel with Catholic Communications in August 2020 for the pilgrimage of the decade as we experience the Oberammergau Passion Play. Join Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky and Father Gary Daly for the spiritual journey to Germany and the village of Oberammergau. Since 1634, this famous play has been performed every 10 years in this quaint alpine village. Our 10-day pilgrimage will begin in Brussels, Belgium, and continue through Cologne, Heidelberg, Oberammergau, and Munich, Germany. With daily breakfast and dinners included, pilgrims will enjoy daily Mass in many of Germany's brilliant cathedrals and churches, a cruise on the Rhine River, a tour of Cologne's cathedral treasury containing the staff of St. Peter, and a visit to Munich's famous Glockenspiel. Book this incredible opportunity now for $5,439. For more information, go to iobserve.org.
Ryan Reynolds takes on a very different role. The musical The Marvelous Wanderettes is dazzling at the Majestic. And the most important film out there right now for superhero fans to see is dazzling audiences. Let's take a look at this week's Real Culture. Now playing at the Majestic Theater in West Springfield is the wonderful musical The Marvelous Wanderettes, a trip down memory lane that you must take right away. 4 girls, 4 dreams, and lots of great music that we have grown to love. Bravo, Danny Eaton, for giving us a musical that is both funny and charming at the same time. Our 4 stars, Caitlin Vandalici, Kate Rankins, Tina Sparkle, and Molly Posnick all sing and move in the grand style that was the 50s, and then take us right into the 60s without missing a beat. So go, and remember your senior prom, or mom and dad's senior prom, or even grandma's, because this is fun for everyone, from beginning to end. It's there till May the 25th. Okay, it's the biggest movie out there. If you can get a ticket, you're lucky. If not, put your name in and wait. Avengers Endgame is loud, super fast, and very well done. A story about love, friendship, and moving on. And what a cast! Robert Downey Jr., Paul Rudd, and so many more team up to give us a ride we will never forget. Also a surprise. My priest called it one of the best films he's ever seen. Well, I would not say that, but to tell you the truth, it was a lot of crazy fun.
This is the fight of our lives.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
And now for a family film with a good message. It's called Ugly Dolls and tells the story of a misfit who just wants to belong. The visuals are bright and colorful, the score is upbeat and catchy, and in the end, the message is great. No one should be judged by their looks. Starring the talents of Kelly Clarkson, Nick Jonas, and Blake Shelton, this trip to Uglyville should be taken. And bring the kids, too.
Lots of dolls wear glasses in Uglyville, even Five-Eyed Steve.
This is the Institute of Perfection, and perfect dolls have perfect eyesight.
Oh!
Man, and I thought I had issues. Oh my God, you can understand me!
All of us who have children of a certain age remember the days of Pokemon and Pikachu, the cards, the shirts, and of course, the TV show. My kids are all grown now, but the cards have been set aside for the next group. But just when we thought it was safe, out comes Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Yes, you heard me right. A new film, this time teaching us about family, trust, and most of all, what life is like if you're small, yellow, and smart. Ryan Reynolds is the voice of the little yellow guy who helps a young man find his dad. Okay, there's not much here, but it's a cute story that the little ones will love.
Look, you can talk to humans, I can talk to Pokemon. And if you want to find your pops, we're gonna need each other. No, I don't need a Pokemon. What about a world-class detective?
And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. The next time we get together, we'll be talking about the Hartford Stage, TheatreWorks, and the Bushnell, the very, very best in theater. And my summer preview. Some of the best films are coming our way in the next few months. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture. Have a fabulous weekend.
Away from the massive crowds at the National Shrine of Divine Mercy in Stockbridge recently, a Lee woman healed by St. Faustina shared the powerful message of God's mercy at a church in Westfield. Kathy Harrington reports this celebration also drew faithful from near and far.
It's only God's mercy that's going to help us.
Bob Daigen knows firsthand that God's mercy is the answer. 38 years ago, a long-forgotten film about a Polish nun inspired him to take his family to the shrine of Sister Faustina, believing the power of intercessory prayer would heal his wife Maureen and their son.
The movie was made back in the 50s, just before the ban was put in place.
The message of divine mercy, first revealed to Sister Faustina in 1931, was lost for years until a Polish cardinal became pope and John Paul II made it his mission to spread the devotion.
Sister Faustina was born in Poland on August 25, 1905.
Now, decades later, on this cold and rainy Divine Mercy Sunday, the woman whose miraculous healing led to Faustina's elevation to sainthood told an audience at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Church about that day in 1981 when she was healed. It happened while praying the chaplet at the tomb of Sister Faustina in Krakow. Maureen explained she could hear the nun telling her, "If you ask for my help, I will give it to you." Maureen responded in what she describes as a nasty, cocky attitude.
Okay, if you're going to do something, do it now. Not in a nice tone of voice.
With those words, Maureen was healed.
I just felt that the leg was, maybe the swelling was going down because I could feel the shoe was getting too big for me. And I thought, uh-oh, what's happening?
Last year for Divine Mercy Sunday, the parish celebrated showing the film In the Name of Miracles. It was the story of Maureen and Bob Daigen.
Sharing the magnitude of the miracle and the power of intercessory prayer was a message the audience was hungry for.
It was nice to hear her story of the miracles.
Very powerful, yes, to see her and hear her testimony.
The importance of intercessory prayer.
Right,
and sometimes you pray for other people and you wonder, is God really listening to that? But he really does, because that's what healed Maureen.
Right.
She wasn't praying for herself. Her husband was.
We feel a very heavy responsibility for people who have concerns, and they mentioned it to us.
Today, Bob works a few days a week at the National Shrine in Stockbridge for benediction and to lead the chaplet. On this Divine Mercy Sunday, he led the faithful in prayer as the chaplet began. Following the chaplet, there was time to venerate a relic of St. Faustina to close out the Divine Mercy Sunday afternoon. I'm Kathy Harrington for Real to Real.
With Mother's Day coming up, we're here with Father Brian McGrath, who has a perfect recipe for Mother's Day that's handed down from your own mother, right?
Yeah, so my mom, actually with McGrath, you wouldn't know this, but my mom is Italian. And so I learned how to make spaghetti sauce with her, and we made this lasagna. And it's one of my favorite recipes because we don't measure, we just do. We just have a lot of fun. So we get our ingredients in front of us, and we should get started.
Okay, all right. So
So
sauce.
Sauce, and people do different types of meats. So I'm doing meatballs, but I've seen sausages and different style of what you want for and some people do vegetable, like just a vegetarian lasagna. We're gonna have our noodles, we're gonna pre-cook them, so we're not gonna see them cooking, and then a bunch of different types of cheeses. So
all my favorites.
So I'm gonna move this out of the way and we'll make our cheese first.
Okay.
So it starts with ricotta.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people use cottage cheese too, but
yeah, I've had
real
that
Italian
before,
ricotta is a nice, delicious type of cheese.
And that's a pretty mild cheese, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to use basically these are 32-ounce cheeses. We use an egg and some Parmesan.
For each container?
Yeah. So about a half a cup of Parmesan, but again, it's to taste. So whatever you feel like you want. A little bit of cheese. And then what I like to put in is an egg. And what happens with an egg is that it kind of helps it to kind of stay formed. Sometimes your lasagna can really kind of run all over the place.
Yeah.
So again, like 32 ounces, 1 egg per each of those. So wonderful time, no spoons, we washed our hands, and you just mix up all this stuff into a nice...
Do you put any seasoning in this, or?
Because the sauce has a lot of seasoning, I tend to avoid it,
Yeah.
I've seen people put oregano or salt and pepper, what they like. But I like to let the cheese taste like cheese and then let the sauce give it its flavor.
Yeah.
All right, we'll let that sit, and we're going to do part 2 and wash my hands again.
All right.
So all we're doing is we're going to take our meatballs and just slice them up. So they're going to lay out in the tray.
Did you used to help your mom make this when you were little?
Yeah, it's fun. And she makes this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, mom's coming for something, and she's going to make a lasagna. So this is really, for Mother's Day, to make it for her is really a treat.
Yeah.
So we have our meat. I'm going to put this aside. And through the magic of TV, we're going to get ready for the next phase. We're back.
Okay, so
all right, so
first step.
We've got our cheeses, we've got our noodles, we've got some sauce and some meat. So the first step is, you could pre-spray your pan, but we just put a little sauce in there. And kind of, so a little layer of sauce. I cook the noodles. Some people don't like to cook the noodles, but
even though it says that they're pre-cooked?
Well, I bought the ones that aren't pre-cooked.
Oh, okay.
I find they're much tastier. And if you see what I'm doing, I'm putting in a little overlap.
Yeah.
So that whatever you're putting on top of them doesn't seep through. So how's it go? Noodles, maybe a little bit of sauce on the noodles. You want to put a little bit of use your hands, it's all good.
Just this?
Yep, right on top. You can use a spoon, but this is much more fun. I'm going to spread that out.
Father Brian, I did not like to play in the sandbox when I was little.
Well, we're going to play in the cheese box for today. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And put a little bit of meat on top of that. And it's just a layer. Think of what you like in your lasagna.
Do you put the mozzarella in there too, or do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? So I have to get my hands dirty in the mozzarella?
I'll do that one for you, so you can just stick with the ricotta. For our mozzarella.
And you're not measuring, so it's kind of just by eye. You just make your layers, and you really can't do anything wrong.
Well, it's what you like for taste. So if you want it super cheesy, make it much more cheesy. So what do we have? Sauce, ricotta, some sort of meat, and then the cheese. Layer 2. All I'm going to do is give it enough so it stays moist. Now, we got, just for fancy, some fresh mozzarella to put on the top. And this is pre-sliced, makes life a lot easier. so it'll cook up.
Oh, that's going to be so
fresh
good.
mozzarella. And there's our.
That looks awesome.
Now I want to do something else. We're going to put this aside for just a sec. What happens if we got extra noodles or extra stuff, or you're cooking? I live by my associate, but it's really cooking for one.
Yeah.
So what you can do is make a little.
That's perfect.
Bread
I've
pan.
never thought of that. That is so cute.
You can spray it down if you want, but I use the sauce as my thing.
Yeah. And one noodle fits in there, right?
Right.
Well, you probably have to cut it a little bit, but.
So let's do that. I'm going to go back and get my scissors. Or a knife if you have a cutting board. Yeah. But cooking scissors are really a dream. So all I'm going to do is cut it down. So, my messy countertop, but we've got our fancy schmancy super deep dish mozzarella and just the mozzarella for two.
Lasagna.
Mozzarella, yeah, lasagna for two, yeah.
Okay, so we'll stick those in the oven and then we'll test it after and see.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put aluminum foil on the top of them,
Okay.
just so they don't overcook at the top,
right.
and then you finish them off at the end with taking the aluminum foil off.
Okay.
So we'll throw them in the oven.
Okay.
So again, we're going to turn this down to I think 350, so they can bake slowly.
Yeah.
The little guy is going to go probably 25, 30 minutes.
Okay.
The other one may go a full 45 or a little longer.
Mm-hmm. And once you're
And
almost ready to...
Right, the last 5-10 minutes, take the aluminum foil off if you like to brown it up.
Yeah. So the lasagna is ready. It's been baking for what?
About 45 minutes,
45
maybe
minutes,
almost
yeah.
an hour.
Mhm.
It's pretty thick, so I thought I'd keep it in there longer.
Yeah.
And we took the foil off just a little while ago, so let's see what it looks like.
One thing I thought of too is because you use the noodles that were already cooked, it probably doesn't take as long, right?
Right.
If you're doing noodles that are, well, that looks delicious.
And check out our little guy.
Oh, so cute.
We'll just serve the little one since it's just the two of us.
Sure. And you got the nice china for Mother's Day.
Right?
I want the big piece. No, just kidding. Wow.
Now this is super saucy.
Super, yes.
It would probably set up nicely, but garnish a little tomato sauce. And how about that for a nice little lasagna?
It looks amazing. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, wonderful to have you as always.
Can't
and happy
wait to-
Mother's Day to all the mothers, especially my mom. We call her the Nani. She's awesome.
And happy Mother's Day to my mother. We call her Baci.
See?
She's Polish, 100%.
And a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Thanks so much to Father Brian McGrath for opening up his kitchen to us. He makes it look so easy, doesn't he? And as you saw, he really doesn't measure his ingredients, but we will put up a recipe on iobserve.org. It's comfort food at its best. And that's all we have for this week. Just a friendly reminder that the annual Catholic Appeal is still in need of more donations. So many depend upon your generosity, so if you haven't had a chance to make your gift yet, please consider doing so. You can make that donation right now at diospringfield.org through a safe and easy-to-use online donation site. Put your faith into action. Make your gift today at diospringfield.org. Remember, for updates anytime, head over to our news and information site, iobserve.org. It's your one source for accurate news on the Catholic faith. That's iobserve.org. And due to NBC programming, we will be off next week, and those of you who watch us on WXXA and Catholic TV will see a best of edition. For everyone else, we will see you right back here in 2 weeks for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Happy Mother's Day.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.